As one of the British empiricists of the early modern period, David Hume holds that all knowledge comes from experience, a standard he rigorously applies to the subject of causation. There are no innate ideas in his eyes. Everyone starts out in life with a tabula rasa, a clean slate. And Hume's central empirical axiom is known as the copy principle, according to which all contents of the mind can ultimately be traced back to sensory impressions. For example, the idea of gold and the idea of mountain stem from having seen golden jewelry and mountains in the landscape before. Both ideas are mental copies of concrete external entities. Through the mere operations of the mind, the two constituent ideas can be associated and create a new abstract idea. For instance, the imaginary idea of a golden mountain, one for which there is no actual counterpart and therefore one that could not be copied from the external world. Hume makes an important distinction by putting all objects of knowledge into two groups: relations of ideas and matters of fact. This bifurcation became known as Hume's fork. The first kind, which you may call the rational or relations of ideas or facts based on ideas, they are analytic, necessary statements that are knowable a priori. They are known through reason, such as algebraic truths like 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. Axioms of Euclidean geometry, such as the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides of a triangle, or truths of classical logic, such as it is either true that P or not P. Either it is or it is not. Propositions of this sort can be known a priori by mere operations of the mind without any reference to the external world. Relations of ideas have to be necessarily true no matter how the world turns out. Their denial leads to a contradiction, for it is impossible for 1 plus 2 not to equal 3. The second kind you may call empirical, or matters of fact, or facts based on experience. These are synthetic, contingent, and knowable a posteriori. They are gained through empirical evidence. Examples are the sun is shining today, or water boils at 100 degrees Celsius on sea level, or Japan is the fastest aging country in the world, etc. Empirical propositions of this kind cannot be made in an experiential vacuum. In fact, they are products of experience. What distinguishes matters of fact from relations of ideas is that they can be coherently denied. It is perfectly conceivable to say that it is not the case that Japan is the fastest aging country in the world. There is no logical contradiction. Therefore, it is possible that a matter of fact is the case or is not the case. From the perspective of logic, matters of fact are not necessarily true. Now, why is this bifurcation between relations of ideas and matters of fact relevant to the debate about causation? Hume here states that all reasonings concerning matter of fact seem to be founded on the relation of cause and effect. For example, a landlady sees that the lock of her front door is destroyed and that all her valuables disappeared from the house. Based on mere observation or a priori reasoning alone, she wouldn't be able to figure out what has happened before. Only through connecting ideas that stem from sensory impressions and remembering past reports, for example about theft crimes, can she make a causal inference that a theft took place. She can thus generate new insights about the world. Experience here is crucial for making such inferences. In his thinking, Hume emphasizes causal reasoning or causal inferences, which would nowadays be called inductive inferences. The only way one can infer if and how the yellow billiard ball will move, for example, after being hit by the cue ball is, again, via past experience. What Hume means is that whenever one asserts something about events in the world that exceeds the boundaries of memory or present perception, one reasons from causes to effects or from effects to causes. Cause and effect reasonings thereby do not only allow one to interpret and explain aspects of the world, but they also make the world predictable, at least to a degree. Now, in contrast to knowledge resulting from relations of ideas, knowledge about matters of fact is the type of knowledge that exclusively arises out of one's interaction with the external world. Matters of fact are amenable to empirical testing. Their denial does not lead to a contradiction, which implies that there is no logical necessity for them being true. Hume thinks that all inferences about matters of fact are ultimately causal, or as he would put it, relations of cause and effect.